Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. This Monday quarterback video is from Houston, Texas. I've already released the Houston, Texas Police Department's critical incident review of the incident, where they have the spokesperson explaining what's going on, etc. I just did not do any commentary for that video. Now I'm going to do commentary on that incident. I'm not going to play the critical incident review video because Houston Police, on top of having that critical incident video review, they've also released the body cam footage and the dash cam footage that has a longer duration of play in those videos than what you get to see in the critical incident video. For example, the dash cam footage right here is like 21 minutes long. It's actually more like, pretty much call it 22 minutes long. And the critical incident briefing video in of itself is not that long at all. So with the raw footage that they have, that raw footage is much longer. So I'll be playing just that raw footage that they have released and giving my commentary on what's going on there, talking about things to better explain what's going on and explain things that I think that are being done right and or done wrong. So just to recap this particular incident, two Houston police officers show up to this gas station where there are two people who are loitering or criminally trespassing. Like, they're just hanging out outside this business, like the two people in the movie Clerks, you know, just two dudes hanging outside in the front, not really being conducive to the operations of that business. A lot of businesses just don't like people hanging outside their business, even though they're open to the public. They expect public to come there. They, at the end of the day, just don't like people standing on their sidewalks, hanging out on their sidewalks, sitting around, just loitering around, because that can scare away some customers, because customers don't like, you know, some women just don't like pulling in and walking by some of these suspicious looking dudes. And then because some of these people, they leave trash, they become overly intoxicated, and they're passed out in the place. It just makes things look very unsightly, and it increases the civil liability for that property, especially if someone's going to be under the influence and a danger to themselves and others. So they just don't want them there. And this is where police and or private security come into play in dealing with these people. So let's go ahead and start the dash cam, and I'll pause intermittently here and there to talk about things that are going on. It's a windy morning. You can see those flags in the background.
Yep, sounds good.
When a giant group of business competitors, don't be the one left on a scene and out of reach. If you're a business owner and need help with your online presence, let's make it happen. Introducing Cumulus Boost. Boost your website. Boost your findability. Boost your reputation. Boost your business. Marco? Yes, I'm Marco. Get a boost. Get found. Get on the map. Contact us today at cumulusboost.com.
So his story right now is that this guy you see talking in the white shirt, his story is that he just went in there and bought that drink. She asked if it's still cold, and she reached her hand out and touched his hand. That's his story. He just went in there, got his Coke, Big Red, got himself a Big Red, he's drinking it right now. She's getting his information. This guy's name is Edmundo.
We have a lot of secrets. You never know who you'll run into at Diamonds Direct. With unbeatable direct importer prices, the highest quality diamonds, the most sought-after designer rings, the best customer service, the strongest guarantees in the industry. It's just a no-brainer.
Something else that you can see with her body cam footage as well. We're in volume now, so we're not hearing the AM FM radio. His body language right now, and as I said, you'll see that more in her body cam footage as well. But there's nothing right now that shows this guy is being deceptive. He's not showing signs that he's being aggressive or anything like that. In fact, it's opposite. He seems like he is a polite person. He seems like he's an alright guy talking to him. And I think that is camouflage. Because we're going to find out later on in this presentation that what you see him acting now and what you see him acting in the beginning in her body cam footage, where he's all nice and cordial and everything, that makes it
Thank you for your service and our
totally changes. And since he has warrants out for his arrest, since he's kind of loitering out here in the parking lot, since he ends up doing what he does with officers, I would not be surprised to find out that this guy has had multiple interactions with law enforcement. Would not be surprised to find out that he's been locked up in jail or in prison. Would not be surprised to find out if he's possibly out on probation and parole right now. And so, with people like that who've been in and out of the criminal justice system, who've been dealing with police on a semi-regular basis, sometimes these people figure out that the best course of action for them is to be cool. Be cool, be calm, be collective, yes sir, no sir, you know, smile, be nice. And they've learned that if they do that, sometimes they fly under the radar. Sometimes the police kick them loose and don't dig any further. They don't search any further because they just seem like a regular person who is not afraid of police, who is not giving the police a problem. And they're like, all right, have a good day, bye. And then they get away with it. So him being nice right now and acting like this may not be him at his core all the time. This may be a camouflage tactic because he does have warrants, and he probably knows that he's got warrants, right? Like, you just can't fathom that a person goes throughout their life and it becomes a sudden surprise to them that they have a warrant out for their arrest. Like, you know that they were involved in something going on in their life that could get them a warrant issued for their arrest. Now, there may be, some case out there where there's some type of clerical issue, a person with the same name and doesn't have an arrest warrant signed out, and they were arrested because their name matched the other person. Okay, yeah, that's what improper arrest, or not improper, wrongful arrest, they got the wrong person. Okay, yeah, sure, that has probably happened before, but what I'm talking about is the right person, right name, right social, right date of birth. There's just, it's not likely that someone is going to be living their life. It's a total shock, a total surprise that they have a warrant out for their arrest. So this guy probably knows. He probably knows he has a warrant. And he is acting cool, calm, and collected in hopes that the officers will go away and leave him alone. The other black guy that you saw, he has nothing to do with this other than he was loitering, and they kick him loose, and they're going to be dealing with this guy because now they know that he has warrants.
Or motorcycle wreck? Call Jim Adler. That's Texas Hammer. 104.1 KRBE with the Will and Ryan Show. When the car ride is over, you don't want to turn off the fun. So keep listening wherever you go on streaming apps like iHeart, TuneIn, or the free KRBE app on the
At this point, she is patting down. She's looking through a pack of cigarettes. There's some money. She's going to put it back in his pocket. patting down the front of his pants, and boom, she feels a gun. I'm going ahead and mute the audio at this point because I have a bit of a concern with it playing music that YouTube will censor the video and mute it all out, and then you won't hear it in the commentary. But he has resisted. He has tried going for that gun, and now she gets her gun out and provides lethal cover while the other officer's on top, pinning his arm down. We will see a lot more from her body cam footage, but at this point, what this officer is doing is she is pressing that gun into his lower abdominal area and or his pelvis. She actually takes the gun and moves it around a little bit on him. And let me pause right here because I have a lot to say and then more stuff's going on. But she starts moving that gun around on his body, and she'll press it into midline of his abdominal area, then she kind of puts it to the side of his hip area. She moves this around a few times, and I believe what she is doing is she is probably thinking about what would happen if the bullet overpenetrates and exits out the backside of him. Where is that bullet going to go? And with her partner being right there, she is probably thinking, is probably concerned, if the bullet leaves him, is it going to hit her? So she's probably thinking about trying to get the best angle so if that bullet leaves him, it'll terminate into the ground. I will go more into aiming and stuff when it gets to her body cam footage. Now, we see her reaching down with her hand and pressing the radio itself. She does not have a lapel mic on her radio. And I personally think that public safety radios need to have lapel mics, especially for law enforcement and security. But even, fire and EMS, it makes sense to have lapel mics on those radios. But more so for police and security because you could be in armed conflict. With the radio being mounted to your belt, in order for you to talk into it, you either A, have to do what she's doing, which is reaching down to the radio, mounted to the belt, and pressing the talk button, which means she's going to have to talk loudly for that microphone to pick it up. Or you remove the radio from the belt, bring it up to your mouth, talk into it, and then put it back when you're done. That seems like an easy, normal process, but when you start adding in factors like people are trying to fight you, and maybe shoot at you, etc., that becomes a very difficult task, and it increases the possibility that under stress, you could drop that radio. If you drop that radio and you have to take cover, that radio may not be accessible to you anymore because you're taking cover from incoming fire. And if you leave your cover, you're going to get shot. So then, how are you going to communicate to anyone? If it drops and hits the ground, it can tumble or slide, move across the ground, and what if you're on the side of the street and it goes down a drainage hole in the ground? Well, you're definitely not getting that radio back anytime soon. It could, if you're in a roadway, tumble out, slide across the ground on the roadway, and then a car runs it over. Or just dropping it can cause it to break. Or cause the battery to shear off the back and it goes into two pieces. Or there's multiple people there and someone picks the radio up and takes off with it. What we also see when people are holding the radio in their hand and the fight happens, or the gunfight happens, they hold on to it and then pull their gun out, and they try to get a two-handed grip, holding the radio in one hand and the gun in the other, and it obviously does not work. But they know they can't just drop the radio and get rid of it. So having the radio in your hand can be a detriment to you. Either it is interfering with a good two-handed grip on your gun, or you're running the risk of dropping that thing and no longer being able to communicate to people. It's one thing if you were able to get out a broadcast and say that you needed help or that there was some type of problem going on, and then you lose it, because already we know help is on the way. But what if you didn't have time to make a broadcast? What if you didn't have time to let anybody know something was going on, and then this radio fell out of your hand, and then you were not able to communicate past that point? No one would know anything was happening to you until dispatch was calling for you to say, hey, we need you to go to this call. Hey, why aren't you answering your radio? Hey. And then they'll start to send people to look for you. Security, you a lot of security, you don't have anybody on the other end of that radio a lot of times. I mean, sometimes some security companies get to have, the private communications networks where there's a dispatcher they can talk to. But for a lot of guys, they don't. I mean, they may have radios when they have large events and there's multiple people they're working with. But for those guys who work solo on a lot of stuff, they don't have anybody on the other end of a radio. They're completely by themselves. So, the radio, it needs to have a lapel mic. All public safety radios need to have a lapel mic. And another thing, instead of her pressing the button and holding the button to talk during this struggle, which means she's taking one hand off the guy, what she could have simply done is just reach down, press the orange button, and be done with it. You hit that orange button, that means emergency. That's what it's called. It's called the emergency button. Some people call it the oh shit button. That means some shit's going down. It can be better just to press that button and then put your hand back in the fight. Because once you press that button, the cavalry's coming. You press that button, it makes a tone go out over the radio. Or like a little alarm sound. It'll either be a beep, or it'll be like a doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. And at the dispatch center, on their screens, starts flashing symbols on people's, and it depends on the radios and the models and software and stuff like that. But most likely for public safety, since they've got newer radios, they're going to be P25 compliant. Most likely the screen on their radio will start flashing, or it'll pop up some little message on there that may say emergency, or it might start flashing that person's name if their radio is programmed to broadcast their name, or it just may be the deck ID for that radio, maybe a string of numbers. But everyone who's on that channel is going to hear that alarm go off. Dispatch automatically is going to know who it is. It's going to be flashing on their screens that such and such radio has activated emergency button. Activating that emergency button will also turn other radios off, so to speak. So if like someone else was talking on their radio and you press that oh shit button, it cuts them out. It cuts them off. It says, nope, get off the line. You're not needed right now. Someone else needs it. And when everybody hears that noise, everyone knows, shut up. Don't get on the radio. Don't be calling out a freaking license plate check at the hotel. Don't be calling out that you're stopping for lunch. Like, stay off the damn radio. Someone's in trouble. And if I had the volume on right before she starts to talk, you hear somebody talking on the radio itself. So like I said, the radio is going to be programmed. When you press that orange button, it shuts everyone else down. Because there's been times where you see in these videos, people try to go key their radio, but someone else is talking, and then you hear a busy tone come back when they press that button. You hear a bonk, or you hear the bonk. They can't get out because someone else is talking. You hit that orange button, it makes those people stop talking. It clears the net. And another thing with the emergency buttons is, depending on the manufacturer and how things are programmed, you can have the emergency button programmed to hot mic the microphone for like 5 seconds or 10 seconds or 15 seconds, or heck, even 30 seconds if you wanted to. And that would allow people to be able to know and train that when you hit that orange button, you've got 10 seconds to start shouting out what's going on. So you don't have to reach down and hold that push talk button and keep it held down while you're talking. You just press the orange button, and as soon as that it stops making that alarm noise, you press the button and it goes doo 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 doo. And once that stops, the microphone is hot mic'd. It's on. You got 10 seconds to shout out what's going on, and people will be able to hear you. And then after that point, you'll have to reach down and press the talk button and hold it in to talk. But like I said, it depends on how it's programmed and everything. Some agencies got the radios and stuff that can be programmed like that. They just don't have them programmed like that because their service provider just hasn't messed around with it, hasn't tinkered with it, doesn't know how to do it, or the dispatch communications supervisor people don't know how to do it, and they just want the basic package. Here's a radio, push talk, that's all we need. All right, so moving on from the radio stuff. So you see her moving her gun around. Like I said, I think she's thinking about what happens if she overpenetrates. And at this point, which is interesting, her glasses were on top of her head. And now, during this struggle, they have rolled down and are over her eyes. So, it's kind of like the, I don't know what you call it, because I don't guess it's really a meme, but, like the video where, someone is saying something and then someone else does something to, do a mic drop kind of moment thing, and you see the little sunglasses, little cartoonish looking sunglasses be superimposed over the person's eyes, and then like the little blunt be superimposed over their mouth. There's like that little rap theme song going on in the background. That's what that reminds me of after she pops them, and then you see those sunglasses on. So she shoots them once, and here she is moving the gun around again, trying to get a different angle, and thinking about what the trajectory is going to be like if she pops them again. So I guess we can talk about targeting right now, or a little bit more about targeting. The stomach area and other parts of the body, when you shoot those parts of the body, you can cause a lethal hit. Like, they will eventually die from that. But in the meantime, they're going to be able to move around. They're going to be able to do stuff. So just because it's a lethal hit doesn't mean it's good, because until they die, they can still fight. So we want to achieve physical incapacitation Physical incapacitation means that after you've shot them, they're no longer fighting you. They're no longer moving. You can also achieve mental incapacitation after shooting someone. This could be where you shoot them like in the hand or in the foot. Generally, shooting someone in their hand or their foot is not going to cause death. It's not a lethal thing. It's not a physically incapacitating thing. You may affect how they can do things, right? Like they're not going to be able to grip things very well. You shoot them in the hand. They're not going to be able to walk or run very good if you shoot them in the foot, but they can still fight, right? But that one hit in that non-critical area can cause mental incapacitation. The pain of it. The fact that, oh, this person meant what they meant. They told me they was going to shoot me. Well, shit, they followed through. They did it. They shot me. Well, I don't want to be shot anymore, so I'm going to stop what I'm doing. That is mental incapacitation. They are still physically capable of fighting. It's just the mental will to fight has been robbed from them. She shoots him in the stomach, and he's moving around. He still resists somewhat until they fully get the cuffs onto him, and you'll see past this point that he moves around. They're having to control him, keep him down. He's able to move. He's able to control his limbs. If he wanted to, he could fight. But he is mentally incapacitated at this point. He has a lethal hit on him. He's going to die from this. But he's still physically able to fight, but mentally it's gone from him. The pain is too much for him. So just because someone's been shot once doesn't mean that that's the only number of times that you need to shoot them. They may need to be shot more. And that's what she was doing. She was looking at how she was going to shoot him again if she needed to shoot him again. When she's taking the gun and she's pressing it into his belly, pressing it into his hips, trying to find places where to aim this at, one thing she could have done is just ram that gun right into his dick and then tell him, stop moving or I'm going to shoot you. For a lot of guys, the idea, the thought of being shot in the dick will gain compliance. And realistically, legally, there's nothing wrong with that. This has met the threshold for her being justified in using deadly physical force. He's got a gun on him. He has reached for it. He's fighting them. She is in fear for her life. She is in fear for the life of her partner. She is 110% justified in using deadly physical force. Deadly physical force is not restricted to certain areas of the body. It is not specified for only certain parts of the body. You can shoot someone anywhere that you want once you are justified in using deadly physical force. If she wanted to, she could have just reached the gun up and popped him in the head. It could have been super simple, easy to do that in this scenario. But once you get to the body cam footage, you'll see how his hands and arms are. And if she would have reached that gun up into that area, it could have made it easier for him to grab that gun. And then it would be a fight for the gun. But she could have, if she wanted to, just took that gun, rammed it up under his chin, and pulled the trigger. And be done with it. Or, if she wanted to, she could have rammed that gun into his dick And if he didn't comply with stopping, trying to reach for that gun, she could have blasted his dick off. Like I said, most guys, you put a gun in their dick, they're they're going to comply. Now, going back into what I talked about, physical incapacitation, stuff like that. Yeah, that would most likely bring about some mental incapacitation, shooting somebody in the dick. But could they still physically fight? Yeah, they could. They could still physically fight. So it goes back into wanting to cause that physical incapacitation. The stomach area, a lot of that area of the stomach is stuff that's going to take a while for that person to become physically incapacitated once you've ventilated them there. You have the abdominal aorta, which comes down from the heart. It goes downwards, and that's what feeds into your femoral arteries. It's not something that you can aim specifically somewhere on somebody's body and hope that it hits it with a high degree of success, like you can aiming center mass and hitting lungs and hearts. But there's that once you sever that can cause a quicker physical incapacitation, depending on how badly it's been severed, or the spinal column straight down the middle. You can hit that. Now, once you hit that, that may only paralyze them from that point below. So they would be halfway physically incapacitated. They would be immobilized, like they're going to stay in that one spot until they start using their arms to crawl away. They still fight with their upper half. The hips, your pelvic area, that has a lot of blood vessels in there. A lot. And firing into that spot, it can eventually cause physical incapacitation because you make them bleed out there. But you can also cause some mobility issues for them where they're not going to be able to move around a whole lot. You crush some of that pelvic area with bullets, they're not going to be able to stand on their own weight, depending on where you shoot at and how much you shoot at into the pelvic region. But her targeting is limited by her partner here, because like I said, I think that she is conscious of the fact that if she fired, how's this bullet going to react? Is it going to exit? And if it does, is her partner at risk? So she keeps lethal cover on him while her partner gets him hooked up. And then, actually, let me take the sound off.
Another sergeant around 32.
Alright, it hasn't started playing yet. There's a song that starts playing here in a little bit that I was wanting to play. But yeah, she is trying to get the gun out now. And we can't see very much from this angle, but we will see more from her body cam footage. And in her body cam footage, you see that he has multiple layers on. He has like 2 or 3 shorts on and underwear. That's a lot of stuff to be wearing. Look at these sunglasses. But yeah, he's got a lot of layers on. She's trying to get that gun out. And this is something else that makes me think this guy's been involved in the criminal justice system multiple times. In my experience, people who wear like multiple layers of pants and shorts are people who have had criminal lifestyles. And the reason why they wear these multiple layers is to conceal things on them, to make it harder for things to be detected. And we could see, well, you'll see from the second officer's body cam footage when she brings that gun out, it is a full-size gun. It's not a little pocket rocket. It's not tiny. It's big. And this guy, if you remember, his shirt wasn't baggy. His shorts don't seem to be super baggy or anything like that. But yet, it did not print on him, this full-size gun. And he says he's a smaller guy. Like, he's smaller than the first officer, the blonde-headed woman. He might be roughly around the same size as the other woman, but I think the other woman is still bigger than him. So he is a smaller guy with a full-size gun on him, and they couldn't tell that he had it concealed on him. And that is the reason why he has multiple layers on, so that he can have it behind that second layer and it conceals better. When it comes to things like drugs, like a baggie and stuff, they'll take that baggie and they'll put it on that first layer of stuff that is closest to their body, and then they'll have 1 to 2 more layers of clothing outside of that that helps mask the feel of it when you go to pat them down. So it's a tactic that they've learned in jails and prisons and on the streets. You wear multiple layers, and if you get patted down, those multiple layers is going to make it difficult for anyone to feel anything. And it's going to make it difficult for people to see a bulge because you're wearing so many layers. I've done a lot of pat downs on people. And your criminal types are the ones who wear these multiple layers. Your regular, everyday people generally do not dress like this at all. Now, I've come across some guys who were wearing like jeans and they had gym shorts instead of underwear under their pants. Or they had underwear, gym shorts, and pants on, but they were, going to somewhere and was going to be playing something. And they did not fit the flavor of being a criminal. But like having 2 shorts on, 2 pants on, like that's just not normal behavior for people. It's something that these criminal types do. So backup has finally arrived. And I'll pause here just a second so you can see the full size of that pistol. And we'll see it later once she pulls it out of his shorts. But over here in the store, there's people inside this store who've been poking their head around looking as this stuff's been going on. They didn't come out and help. They see 2 women fighting with a guy, and they chose not to come out and help. Unfortunately, this is where we're at in society. People who just don't want to help. They don't want to be a good Samaritan. And that's either because they lack that backbone, they're yellow belly type of people, or it's purposeful. It could be that they just want to see the guy get away because they hate police and they may sympathize with the person. I don't know. But there's lots of instances where there are people in the background who could come over and help, but don't. And I think that says a lot about how our society has, well, I don't want to say developed or progressed because those are kind of like positive words, but this is how our society has become now. people not wanting to be good people and helping out. This is our community, right? Like, the police are good people. They're catching criminals. Obviously, this guy's a criminal. This is your community too. Your safety and the safety of others is the investment here. Why wouldn't you want to help if you see two officers struggling? What do you gain by just standing there watching them? What, recording them with your phone and getting some likes on social media with it? What's that gaining? That's not making anything better. What if this guy was able to get this gun out and shoot one of these officers? Then our society would be diminished. Their community would be diminished. You lost a good person. Someone who goes out there and catches bad people. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. And it's sad that we have males with fighting ability who would just rather stand around and watch two women struggle with a guy.
So Travis Sergeant en route. What is any outstanding?
So this song in the background, blinded by the light.
Okay, I think we have some authority over here.
So when I first watched this video and he gets shot and then this song comes on, I thought, holy crap. Like, of all songs to come on, this one, blinded by the light, and this guy's dying. Like, like, what are the odds of, something like that occurring? Which, the song in itself isn't, about someone dying or anything like that. But, people dying and stuff, there's been reports of people seeing a light, this is like the light from heaven or, something like that. And then, they go towards the light, and it's the afterlife. And so this guy's been shot, he's dying, and then blinded by the light starts playing. And so it just really stuck out to me, the irony of that. And another thing too about some of these dash cam, you just hear the AM FM radio playing, you hear the DJ talking, and you hear the music playing in the background, and then you see all this action going on behind you, right? You hear music, it's stationary, people moving around, stuff going on. It's kind of, I don't know, symbolic in a way to me, that it just signifies that no matter what you're doing, no matter what goes on, life will still go on. Right now, there's other people listening to the same radio station, and they're driving down the road. They might be at work, listening to music in the background, whatever. And these people here, they were fighting for their life. And now one guy's dying right here in front of us. And with that guy dying, like I said, it's kind of symbolic in a way that after you die, the world keeps on going. It doesn't stop for you. It just keeps on going. So there's just, like I said, there's just something about watching some of these dash cam footages where you just hear all that background music going on, and it's just sitting there, it's stationary, pointing in one direction, and in the background you see all this stuff going on, all these movements and everything, and someone's dying right there on the screen, and everything keeps going on, and life moves on. Life continues. I like that song. It's a good song. It's kind of got like a, it's kind of like a 1980s vibe kind of to it, right? Like, I mean, it came out in like the, later 20, well, when did it come out? Somewhere in the 2000s. I mean, later 2000s, right? Like the teens or the 20s. But just the sound of it, man, just got this vibe that sounds like it's from the 80s. And oh, this guy just ran into the car. Didn't know it was there. So this guy right here that we see, he's got some stripes on his sleeves, so he's obviously a supervisor of some sort. Here in a second, we'll see him walk the officer who shot off the screen, and we won't see her again past that point. But we will see the other officer. We'll see her moving around within the screen here. So the officer who fired the supervisor's taking her, and he's removing her from the scene. This is a typical thing that goes on after a shooting. The person who did the shots fired, they're taken away and are isolated. They're put somewhere to where no one else can come talk to them. They can't talk to anyone else. They may have their firearm removed from them at the scene because it's going to be collected as evidence, right? Like, this is a homicide has occurred here. A serious assault has occurred here. She's obviously justified in what she did, but there still has to be an investigation, right? So the gun has to be collected for evidence. Statements will have to be taken at some point, but instead of putting her around other people, they isolate. That way they can say, oh no, she didn't have the opportunity to corroborate her story with someone else. She didn't have time. She didn't have the ability to talk to someone and come up with some wild story or to lie about something or anything like that. So it's just standard police work, right? Like how they would treat anyone else in a situation like this. Now, in some situations, they may handcuff the person for safety reasons because they don't know who this person is. They don't know the full circumstances. So this is where officer-involved shootings are a little bit different from citizen self-defense shootings. Is they typically don't put the officer in handcuffs, right? Because one, they know who it is, and two, obviously they're going to be not concerned about that officer being a safety threat because it's one of their own, right? And they're going to more likely believe for sure what that officer was saying because they are a sworn officer and they have up until this point proven that they're not a liar and haven't done anything to cause them to be terminated or lose their peace officer status. Whereas a private citizen, they don't know who these private citizens are. They have no idea. Don't know them from anyone. And they don't have that status of being a known, trustworthy person. So yeah, after a citizen has been involved in a self-defense shooting, the citizen may be temporarily placed in handcuffs for safety reasons until they figure out exactly what's going on. But other than that, there still has to be an investigation. Evidence has to be collected. The prosecuting attorney's office and or the grand jury will be presented this evidence and a decision will be made. The grand jury may say no true bill, or the prosecuting office will be like, hey, we don't see anything wrong here. We don't see a need to file charges. Now, it takes roughly about 10 minutes before any type of medical first responders show up. They do treat him with some of their medical gear, They put chest seals on him, but other than that, there's no EMS. There's no EMS that gets here within a short amount of time. It takes like 10 minutes or something like that for them to get there. We'll see firefighters show up first, and in a lot of places, firefighters are trained to some type of medical level above just standard CPR, AED, first aid. They may be trained to what is known as medical first responder, or they may be trained up to an EMT basic level. And then after the firefighters show up, then we see the ambulance pull up. But like I said, it's about 10 minutes, and this is a pretty realistic response time for EMS. And that's important because what if the bad guy got the gun out and shot one of the officers? The response time would probably have still been the same. It probably would have taken somewhere between 5 to 10 minutes for EMS to show up. You cannot have this mindset that, oh, if something happens to me, the ambulance will get me. Oh, we live in this big city. We live in Houston. It's a huge city. We got all kinds of ambulances. If something happens to me, the ambulance will come. Yeah, the ambulance will come, but it'll probably take 10 fucking minutes to get there. That's a long time to be waiting for advanced life support. That's a long time to be waiting for even basic life support. People who have more training than just CPR, AED, first aid, who have more equipment. You have to have some medical equipment with you, and you have to have a good knowledge on how to use that equipment and when you need to be using it. So that means you got to know some human anatomy and stuff like that. If you carry a gun for a living, you need to carry some medical equipment for a living. If you carry this gun because you think that you could be involved in a gunfight, well, guess what? A gunfight is a 2A range. You have the possibility of being shot. Your partners have the possibility of being shot as an armed citizen or even off-duty officers. The possibility of getting into a gunfight and your family getting shot is a possibility. So on top of having guns, you need medical equipment as well. You should know how to induce trauma, and you should know how to reduce trauma. Some medical gear needs to be carried on you. You can't carry all the medical gear on you, but a little bit needs to be carried on you, and then the rest can be kept in the car. And if you're, wearing external vests and there's no policies kind of prohibiting what you can be carrying on your external vest, you can be carrying a lot of stuff on you. Like, you have the space. Like, a couple of these guys, you see some big pouches on the front of their vests, and that's most likely medical stuff. And that's good. That's great that they're able to carry that much stuff. But like for this female officer here, she don't have an external vest. She just has a uniform shirt. So where's she going to put some of her medical stuff? So you're going to be limited on how much you can carry. And if there's only one or two things you can carry, then it needs to be stuff that can stop bleeding. And so this goes back into knowledge, right? Like, why do I say that? Why do I say you need something to stop bleeding? Because for armed conflict stuff, things involving gunfights, the type of medical care training that we need to be looking at is TCCC, Tactical Combat Casualty Care. This is a style of pre-hospital care that has been geared towards battlefield-style medical care. And with that, it has been shown that the leading cause of death for battlefield-type injuries is massive bleeding, massive hemorrhaging. People have been shot multiple times. They got some holes in them. maybe one hole, but it hit an artery, and now they got arterial bleeding or amputation, which is typically in a true battlefield sense is caused by some type of explosion, like IED mortars, stuff like that. Here in the domestic U.S., we don't have that. Well, at least for now, we don't. We don't have artillery rounds landing here in the U.S. We don't have mortar rounds landing here in the U.S. And we don't really have a huge bomb IED threat here in the U.S. Like I said, that could change. That could change. But we still have small arms, right? We still got guns. And people bleeding to death is how they're likely to die from those type of injuries. So you want stuff to be able to stop that bleeding. The big thing as far as bleeding that can make a person die real quick is arterial bleeding. That's where one of your arteries has been hit, and it is the garden hose that is spraying blood out of you, right? Like, it's not like you get a paper cut and you got a little bit of blood trickling out, or you fall and scrape an arm and you got some blood coming out the arm that's oozing out. No, like arterial blood, arterial bleeding it is forcefully coming out, like every heartbeat. It is squirting out forcefully, and you lose a lot of blood that way. So the best way to stop that is to put a tourniquet on. And so if you're only going to be able to carry 1 to 2 things on you, let's just say one thing. If you're only able to carry one piece of medical gear on you, I think it needs to be a tourniquet. Because if you ever get an arterial bleed, that is going to be one of the hardest things to stop. People talk about, I'll improvise, if I need a tourniquet, I can use my belt. That is unrealistic. Totally unrealistic. One, you're not going to be using your duty belt for that, because it's got too much crap on it and it's too thick to be able to wrap around a small limb and get the type of pressure on it that you need to cause occlusion. You're going to use your inner belt. Well, not all inner belts are the same, and again, it may be to where you just can't get that thing to constrict well enough to cause that occlusion. And then, on top of that, what if the fight's still going on? You need your quote-unquote battle belt on, your duty belt. What if you need to move? Well, now that your belts are off, now your pants are falling down to your ankles. Now your ability to move quickly is diminished because your pants are around your ankles. And then what if you die? Your buddy's going to find you dead with your pants around your ankles. In your underwear. There's no dignity in that. That'd be a shitty way to be found dead. Fucking half naked. Fucking sitting there in your boxers. Maybe your dick hanging out like that. Screw that. So like trying to improvise with a belt is just a stupid idea. You need to have purposely made equipment for the job, right? And that comes with a tourniquet stopping arterial bleeding. So one piece of medical equipment you need to carry on you needs to be a tourniquet. And then past that, more bleeding stuff, whether it be compressed gauze or a pressure bandage. Or a hemostatic agent impregnated into that, that will address your bleeding. That is most likely the cause of death. And then you can follow the rest of the acronym of MARCH, MARCH. So you got massive hemorrhaging, airway, respirations, circulation, and hypothermia. So those are the things you can address in order. And number one, like I said, being bleeding. So carrying stop the bleed stuff on you is pretty damn important. All right, so this has been the dash cam footage. Now we're going to go into the body cam footage of these officers. And I shouldn't really have a whole lot more to talk about. Since we got to see a pretty good view from this dash cam footage and get to cover a lot of stuff. It's just with the body cam footage, you're going to be able to see a little bit more detail one about the guy's body language, his behaviors. You'll see those multiple layers of clothing. You'll see up close how big that pistol is, and then you'll see how his attitude is completely different. It has gone from nice, calm, collective guy to mean thug, basically. All right, so let's jump out of this and go into the body cam footage. First Officer McGowan, for some reason, HPD decided to release 2 segments of her body camera. So there's 2 separate videos on their site. I don't know why they did that. There is about a 3 to 4 minute gap of time in between the body cam recordings of this officer that is missing. And I suspect that what is missing is just, them looking at the computer, running this guy's name, and seeing all his stuff. And there was nothing of viewing value to be had from the 3 to 4 minutes of time that went by. So we're not. It's not like they're hiding anything. A lot of agencies will do that. They'll just cut out. They'll trim off some of the fat, so to speak, and get straight to the meat and potatoes, like the critical briefing video that this agency released. The totality of it in time is a lot shorter than the dash cam footage itself, and so all that standing around that we saw from the dash cam footage, well, they didn't include all of that in their final presentation because a lot of it was just, to them, nothing of value for the public to see. The meat and potatoes is the shooting aspect of it. So there is, like I said, a time gap in there, and that's probably the reason why the video is split into 2 different ones. They just didn't, whatever software they have, they just didn't splice it together to make it one. It was easy for them to make 2. So it's stupid, but just had to explain that. All right, so let's get into her footage.
We don't talk to these people. Yep, sounds good enough. They'll know. Hi, folks. Why are we hanging out at the gas station? Do what? You just bought it?
Yeah. Oh. Literally like 7 minutes.
Oh, is it still cold? Oh, okay. So you just got here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Where you stay at?
Right on the street.
Well, you're not supposed to be loitering neither. You know that? You got your ID with you? No? Okay. Tell you what. I'll just get your information, okay? You ain't got no warrants or nothing like that? Cool. Perfect. All right. What's your name, sir?
Edmundo.
I'm sorry?
Edmundo, E-D.
E-D?
M-U.
M-U?
So while they're talking, try to look right down in here to see if you can see this gun. I can't tell anything that would indicate to me this guy's got a gun. Maybe this right in here is part of the outline of it, but it's hard to tell. And like I said, the multiple layers of clothing make concealing guns a lot easier.
Indio.
Oh, Edmundo. Okay. What's your last name, Edmundo?
Meza.
I'm sorry? Meza? M-A-Z-A?
E-Z-A.
Easy-A. Easy-A. When's your birthday? Okay. Do you have a Texas ID?
Yeah.
Do you know your number? No? All right. What's your social? All right, cool. Just hang tight real quick, okay? How come you're hanging out outside the gas station, sir?
My dad's on work, so we can go and grab me something to eat. That's what I'm waiting for.
Where you stay at?
I stay right here. I'm waiting for my dad to come out work.
In the motel, or?
Yes, in the motel.
Oh, how come you just didn't wait at your room?
Because I'm hungry and he on his way back. So I'm waiting at his work.
All right. Okay. Just hang tight right quick.
the end of the first part of her body cam footage. And like I said, there's like maybe 3 or 4 minutes of time that goes by before the rest of her video kicks in. So it's just them. What we miss is just them looking at the computer, seeing who this other guy is, if he has anything, and then finding out that this Edmundo guy has warrants. So let's jump out of this one and jump back into the second one. All right. And there was enough time for that other guy to go all the way over here. So the passenger officer, I guess, got that guy's information pretty quick, got back in the car and was running it by the time she got back. And so he was cleared first, and they told him to kick rocks, and he made it all the way down here. And I'm glad that they decided to cut this guy loose first and make sure that he gets pretty far away, because they knew that they were going to be getting this other guy and taking him into custody for warrants. And it's just better that this guy's far enough away, because don't know for sure if these two guys are connected or not. They could be two total complete strangers, or they could be buddies, and it's best to have, if it's a buddy, have them far enough away to where they can't get involved in stuff.
Sir! Get out of here! Let me kick him. I'm going to search him real quick. You're good to go, man. Just don't be hanging out at this gas station.
And that happens. You tell somebody to get lost, and they can't be hanging out. And instead of leaving, they'll just go to another part of the property and hang out there. It's like, I don't know. Some people, they're just stupid and they do that. Other people, they do it on purpose. They think if they, move around a little bit that you'll forget about them. They're like, oh yeah, I moved, yeah. And then once you leave, they'll go right back to what they're doing.
You ain't got nothing on you ain't supposed to have? Huh? No? You sure?
Yeah.
You got some warrants?
I got warrants?
Yeah, you got a few. For what?
Yeah.
Looks like tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah. For you, yeah.
Huh?
I said, yeah, for you.
Sorry?
Yeah. Make sure you ain't got no weapons or nothing.
So, let's see if I can get it better. Go back. All right. So, another ironic kind of thing here. So, I used to smoke tobacco back in the day. Don't anymore. But this is something that some tobacco smokers do. And it's a good luck thing. So, you get your pack of cigarettes, you pack them, and then you take the wrapper off and everything. You open the box, and then you take one cigarette, you pull it out, you turn it upside down, and you put it back in the box. And that is supposed to be the last cigarette out of that box that you smoke, and it's supposed to be for good luck. At least the way that's how it was explained to me back in the day when I had started smoking. You see the friends do it, and you're like, hey, what are you doing that for? Oh, it's good luck, man. It's good luck. Well, obviously, that superstitious stuff is not real. When you're younger, you think about it, you think it's, there's something to it, right? But it's just superstition. And obviously, it didn't work for this guy, right? Like, he didn't have any good luck, because not only did he die, but this guy ended up dying in fucking pain.
I'm gonna put this back in your pocket here, alright? Yeah. Keep your hands where I can see them. Do not move your hands.
I will.
Put your hand behind your back. Put your hands behind your back. Don't move. Bro, he's got a gun. He's got a gun.
I don't.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Fucking dude.
I don't.
Don't. I will shoot you. I will shoot you. Don't you fucking move. Don't you fucking move or you're getting one. Do you understand? You move and you're fucking getting it.
Shoot me now.
I'm going to shoot you. This is a fucking gun. Do not move. Code 1, I need somebody, 5700 Warner. I got a suspect with a gun who might be resisting. Do not fucking move.
Who might be resisting. No, he's resisting. But no, she has clearly communicated to him that she has a gun out and that she is going to shoot him. Right? Plain as day. And as it goes back and forth, he obviously understands it's a gun. The pressing of the gun into a person's body. So at this angle right here, it almost looks like the slide is slightly out of battery. You can see this top slide piece right here, and it looks like it's being pressed back. You can see that being highlighted by the shirt in the back. We see the beaver tail right here, and then it looks like part of that slide has been pushed backwards. So this is a problem. Your modern, semi-automatic pistols, if you pull that slide back a little bit and try to pull the trigger, the gun won't fire because it's out of battery. So if you are ever in a position where you're going to be pushing that gun into someone with the intentions of wanting to shoot into them, you may have to take your support hand and press on the back of the gun to push that slide back into battery. Or just pull the gun back a little bit out of them to relieve that pressure and cause the slide to go back forward. Now sometimes once you do that, you press in with that or whatever, and that slide gets pushed back a little bit, and then you release pressure. Sometimes that slide can stay in that partially backwards position. Sometimes. So it goes back into taking your support hand and pressing into the back of that slide to put it home. Now, this is a problem that is typically seen more often with pistols that do not have a weapon-mounted light on them. And this is why I prefer a larger weapon-mounted light on my handgun. Something with the design of like a Surefire X300 or the Streamlight TLR1. Those lights protrude outward from the gun a sizable amount. And so when you press that into somebody's body, because that weapon-mounted light is protruding outwards, the bulk of that body tissue and surrounding area is pressing into the forward tip of that light and is decreasing the amount of material or human tissue that could be pressing into the slide and pushing it out of battery. So that's one big benefit to one of the larger sized weapon-mounted lights. There are some other weapon-mounted lights out there that are more flush with the muzzle end of the gun. And so utilizing a weapon-mounted light like that can increase the chances, I believe, of if you have to ram the gun into someone, it can cause your slide to go out of battery. So the weapon-mounted lights with the larger designs on them, like I said, the Surefire X300s or the Streamlight TLR1s, those are designs that I prefer because they stick out some. And if you have to do a close contact shot like that, the flashlight is the piece that is sticking into the body. and is creating that standoff from the front slide of the gun, meaning it's less likely that your slide is going to be pushed out of battery.
Do not fucking move.
Man, put that bitch in my heart. Shoot me.
Bro, do not move or you are going to get it.
Shoot that motherfucker.
Don't move.
Shoot it.
I don't want to shoot it.
Shoot it.
So he's telling her, shoot me. Shoot that motherfucker. He's challenging her at this point. I think he's trying to gauge how serious she is. I don't think that he has any real true ideations of unsubscribing himself from life. If he did, he would have already done it with his own gun. Instead, what's going on here is he's challenging. He's gauging. He's probing. He's trying to figure out, is she about it? Is she going to pull this trigger? And I think that is going to help him in his decision on how much more force is he going to exert in resisting. Because right now, he probably had a legitimate fear that, oh, damn, she'll shoot me. But now, since she has not shot yet, now he's challenging. Now he's pushing. Now he's trying to figure out, is she about it, or is she just talking shit?
I'm not. Don't you fucking move.
I'll give it to you.
Stop.
Do not move.
Keep your hands right where they are. Keep them.
You move and I will shoot you. Don't do it, man. Don't fucking do it. Don't fucking do it. Don't fucking do it.
Stop.
Don't fucking move. Give me your hands. Give me your fucking hands. I'm gonna shoot you again. Give me your fucking hands.
Put your hands behind you.
Put your hands behind your back. Turn over. Turn over. Give me your hand. Give me your hand. You got him? Do not move.
I think it's possible that the round did exit him. We do see some blood around here to the back. Now it's possible that because he was on his side, he got shot, blood trickled down the side of his chest wall and then pooled kind of into the back, and then it's just that it looks like there's blood on his back because he has an exit wound, but really it's just because the blood pooled around and then started soaking the back of the shirt. But either way, he obviously has a hole in him and he is leaking at this point.
Do not fucking move! Do not move! Hold on, he's still got that gun in the front. Don't move! Don't move! I'm gonna roll him over.
Is it on this side?
No, it's in the front, like on this side. Scoot over. Don't fucking move! You feel it?
It's on this front now.
Yeah. Do not fucking move and I'm gonna get you an ambulance!
I can't get it with you.
Stop! Hey! Hey, he's got a gun! I shot him once! Call me for some ambulance! Yup! He's still got the gun! He's still got the gun! You got him? Give me that fucking gun!
Stop moving. Stop moving.
Hold on! Okay, get me, go get your med kit. I got him. Get your med kit. I need an occlusion dressing.
We got to see this up. Yo, listen to this up.
Okay, hold on.
Hold on 1 second.
It's fine. Let's get the shortcut on.
All right, man. Hey, roll over, roll over.
Let's get the shortcut. Where's your scissors at? Get us. Okay. Need a compression?
Got one. I got two chips.
Is this the chest? No, I don't need a chest feel. I need like a compression. Well, yeah, let's get the chest feel. Fuck it.
I got two chips right here.
You got a chest feel?
Yeah. You got one.
Here's the gun.
Man, just stay tight. We got an ambulance coming.
So when there's holes in the torso, you want to put occlusive dressings on there. So she at first said, I need an occlusive dressing, or at least it sounded like she did. And then she ends up saying she needs compression. So I think just the stress of everything going on has got her fumbling her words, because even during the fight when she got on the radio and said that, you know, they needed backup, we got a person who might be resisting. What do you mean he might be resisting? Like, he fucking is. You're fighting with them. This happens, right? Like, when fight or flight kicks in and you got a huge adrenaline dump, like, your words get jumbled and you say stupid stuff, which is why it is not recommended that you make a statement right after a self-defense shooting. Stuff like that. You get your words jumbled up. You sound stupid. It's natural. It happens. Like, you don't put the words in the right order they need to be sometimes. And that's just what's going on with her. You know, I think she's got a big enough adrenaline dump that the forebrain isn't as in much power as it should be. And this is just a natural thing. This happens to a lot of people that just get the words kind of mixed up. And I think that's probably what's going on here is, you know, she's getting some of the words mixed up, getting some of the terminology mixed up. But yeah, you want to, on torsos, when you get holes in them, you want to put occlusive dressings on them. Reason being is when there's a hole in the torso, it can cause air to get in there. And you get air into your thoracic cavity, that can cause a lung or your lungs to collapse, what is known as tension pneumothorax. And putting a occlusive dressing, which is basically a piece of plastic, putting a piece of plastic over that hole stops that air from coming in. Now, these occlusive dressings have a corner that doesn't stick or is able to lift up and purge. So the idea is, you know, imagine a square-shaped piece of plastic or like film, you know, like saran wrap, something like that. And you place it over a hole in the person's chest. Well, you leave one corner undone so that can vent out. Not allow air to come in, but allow air to go out if need be. And that will, putting an occlusive dressing on can help prevent tension pneumothorax. Once you start getting tension pneumothorax, there's nothing that you're going to be able to do unless you are advanced life support trained and know how to use a decompression needle. Now, a lot of tactical first aid kits may come with a needle in it, but you have to know how to use that thing. Like, you got to go in between a certain spot on the chest, in between the ribs, to get that into place where it needs to be and start releasing some of that air inside the torso. If you don't do it right, you can cause damage. And that's usually like one of the common arguments when it comes to first aid kits or tactical first aid kits, and people are like, you shouldn't have a needle in there, you're not trained how to use it, blah 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 blah. Okay, yeah, the individual person wearing it may not know how to use that, but it doesn't mean that no one who's going to be there doesn't know how to use it. There could be potentially someone there who knows how to use that thing and has used one like it before. There could be a doctor there. There could be a nurse there. There could be a paramedic there. There could be an officer there who was formerly trained as a combat medic, and they know how to use it. Just because you yourself don't know how to use it doesn't mean that you can't have it. And I even tell people that even if you don't have any first aid training whatsoever, it's still a good idea to have a first aid kit. You might know how to be able to use some things in it. Some stuff may be, self-intuitive. But other things, you know what? Other people may know how to use it, and they may not have that stuff with them. And so if you're able to put this bag out there in front of them, be like, hey, I got all this stuff, and there's someone there who knows what they're doing, they're like, cool, I can do stuff with this. And then they can do work and save people's lives. But yeah, occlusive dressings go on the torso when there's holes in them.
Hey, I need a perimeter around this whole thing. Hey, anybody who's around, detain them.
It's fine. Man, just hold on.
I know.
He ain't got nothing on him else?
I didn't feel anything else.
I didn't either.
There was a phone here.
And again, going back to what I talked about with adrenaline dumps and mumbling words, what she just said. He don't have anything on him else. Like, kind of some odd wording here.
Let's get one of those on his back.
Alright, so this is it on her video. They cut it short. We don't get to see what happens when the supervisor takes her away and takes her to wherever he takes her. He probably takes her to his cruiser. So next will be her partner's video. So let's get into that. Alright.
Hey, sir! Get out of here!
Yeah. Stop hanging out around here, okay?
You ain't got nothing on you ain't supposed to have.
So, based off the dash cam footage, based off both of their body cam footage, I have the feeling that this female officer here is the more dominant one. And not just dominant, but just in charge. And I think that what's going on here is she might be a field training officer. If she's not a field training officer, then I think she definitely has more time working than Officer Johnson here. Because we don't see Johnson being like McGowan here. She doesn't seem to be taking a huge lead, doesn't seem to be very dominant, primary, or anything like that. And so, like I said, either this is training, FTO process, or Johnson here just doesn't have a whole lot of time on. Because we hear, like when she comes up and she talks to him, she goes, yeah, just don't be hanging out here anymore. Like kind of softer voiced, not very authoritative, and then almost seems to be kind of not keen on the fact this guy has warrants. Like not just like not being upright. Like, oh yep, you got warrants. You need to hang out. We're going to arrest you. If it's not, if it's not an FTO phase and she's at the beginning of it, and it's just that she has less time on, either way, there needs to be more dominance there, right? Like, you need to be more alpha. Unfortunately, there's so many officers out there that I just don't think they do a very good job of establishing command presence like this officer here. Like, I think she does a good job of commanding officer presence or command presence. Like, it's obvious that she's in charge. Like, she is calling the shots on what's going on here. Like, she's dominant. She's alpha. And there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of cops out there. They have not established this. They're still like a mouse. And I think it kind of leads, in some instances, I think it leads to more problems than what I think people can fully realize or see. It's like guard dogs. If you've got, like the junkyard dog, if you got a poodle versus a German Shepherd, what is going to be taken more serious, the poodle or the German Shepherd? So when it comes to this line of work, and not just policing, but also security as well, you've got to take on that German Shepherd persona. You cannot do this acting like a fucking poodle. No one's going to fucking take you serious. You don't have to be a big person either. I've seen small people who have a freaking German Shepherd persona about them. They make it clear, you don't want to fuck with them. They'll fuck your ass up. So I think we see a lot of officers, both in law enforcement and security, that just don't bring about a command presence with themselves. There was one expression I heard, and this was in relation to some security guards at a place, at a nightclub kind of setting, and they just weren't dominant. Like, they didn't have command presence. They were just kind of just warm bodies. And the way the person described it, they said it was like, man, I never forgot how he worded it, but he was like, they just look like sheep being led around. And that stuck out to me, and I was like, you know what, that's kind of accurate. They're just like little sheep being led around. Like, they're the people who are coming there are the ones who are controlling them, telling them what to do. And like I said, in that kind of role, you don't need that. And I think that that lack of presence, that lack of authoritative stance, that lack of I'm gonna fuck you up kind of projection, I think that leads to some shootings. Like, if you took, not even talking about this one in particular, but like you look at other cases and you look at the officer involved, if you took that officer and you replaced them with someone else who was more authoritative, more dominant, then I think that in some of those cases, the officer involved shooting never would have happened. And I think that some officers out there are the cause of officer involved shootings. And it's not because they're overzealous or, super aggressive or excessive in force or anything like that. I think it's because the criminals perceive them as being a little bitch and thought that they could thought they could get one on them. And then it developed into a situation where the officer truly had to use deadly physical force. But if you were to switch them out with someone else, probably never would have happened. That's not every single case out there, and that's not what's going on here, I don't think. But I do think that has happened in some cases. Like the one that made national news up in Ferguson, Missouri, where the little thug went into a store, stole some stuff, and then the officer stopped and get out with him. The person that he was dealing with He's a big guy, and he's from the streets. The officer, in the beginning, we didn't know much about him, but afterwards, we see photos of him, and I think there's even a video of them out there of him talking. You look at him, and you're like, this guy's kind of petite looking, and his mannerisms and the way he's talking, he don't seem tough. And in that kind of scenario, I think that suspect, Brown, picked up on that. And I think that's why he charged at that officer the way he did. Like, why the fuck would you run at someone with a gun, knowing you could get killed? Anyway, so, command presence, like, that's something that needs to be worked on for some officers. And if this is an FTO phase where they're training this officer, at the very beginning, the trainer is the one who will be primary and kind of shows, hey, this is how we're doing stuff, leading by example, modeling. But there needs to be conversations with that new officer about, hey, you need to take it up a tone. You need to change your mannerisms and how you are projecting yourself. Because if they're not going to take you serious, they're not going to take you serious, and they will pick up on that, and they will try it. And if it's someone who's been on the job for some amount of time, and they're still acting like that, that's a problem with the administration. That is a problem with the administration not doing what they need to be doing. Retraining, or if they're unable to change, isolating and terminating. But we don't see agencies doing that a whole lot, because it is a long process to get a person on the street. It's practically, it takes a year for you to have an officer working the street by themselves. Or if it is in a area that has two-man cars, putting them in that car with that other person besides an FTO. It's just a long process. And so you have agencies who are like, well, this guy's not the greatest, or this girl's not the greatest, but we need people. So they haven't done anything super egregious. They haven't done anything super dangerous. We'll keep them. And they got a job. Only because they're hurting for bodies. So there's no shit. There are people out there who they met the bare minimum standard for training. They got passed through. And they're on the street. No one likes working with them, because they don't feel like they're going to back them up. They don't feel like they're a good backup. But because the agencies have to wait a year, essentially, to get someone to be working, they end up keeping some people who really don't need to be kept. FTOs are probably one of the most important people on an agency, because they are the ones who are setting that standard, so to speak, on how their new people are going to develop. And if this woman's an FTO, I think she's a good one. I think that she is showing initiative, getting out with these people, being thorough and I won't say authoritative, but being authoritative, right? She is an authority figure, and she is making it be that way, right? Like, she's in charge. She has command presence here. She is controlling her space. And then we get to see that during the fight, she doesn't act like how some other female officers act. She ain't screaming at the top of her lungs and going into full frantic mode. Like, she operates well. But anyway, long story short, I just think this officer here, Johnson, whose camera we're watching, she's either in FTO phase and brand new, or she just doesn't have a whole lot of time working.
Sure. gun. He's got a gun.
I don't.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Fucking do.
I don't.
Don't. I will shoot you. I will shoot you. Don't you fucking move. Don't you fucking move or you're getting one. Do you understand? You move and you're fucking getting it.
Stop shooting, man.
I'm going to shoot you. Stop. This is a fucking gun. Do not move.
I'll get up, man.
Stop,
Get up.
stop.
I'll
Okay,
get up.
then just calm down, okay? Just stop.
Do not fucking move.
What?
Do not fucking move.
Man, put that bitch in my heart.
Stop.
Shoot me
Stop.
in.
Bro,
Stop.
do not move or you are gonna get it.
Shoot that motherfucker.
Don't move.
Shoot it.
I don't want to shoot it.
Shoot it.
I'm not. Don't you fucking move.
I'll give it to you.
Stop. Stop.
Do not move.
Keep your hands right where they are. Keep them.
You
Stop.
move and I will shoot you.
Stop.
You better fucking kill me.
Don't do it, man.
You better fucking kill me.
Keep your hands where they are. Stop.
Man, I ain't
Just
gonna-
stop.
I ain't going to
Fucking do
jail.
it.
Stop.
I'd rather die
Stop.
than go to jail.
Fucking
Shoot
do
me.
it. Stop.
Shoot me.
Stop.
Don't fucking.
Ask and you shall receive. He said multiple times, shoot me, shoot me, shoot that bitch, shoot me in the heart. I ain't going to jail. I'd rather die. Well, got what you wanted there, buddy.
Give me your hands. Give me your fucking hands. I'm gonna shoot you again. Give me your fucking hands.
Put your hands behind your back right now.
Put your hands behind your
Turn
back.
over. Turn over.
Give me your hand. Give me your hand. You got him? Do not move. Do not fucking move. Do not move. Hold on, he's still got that gun in the front. Don't move. Don't move. I'm gonna roll him over.
Is it on this side?
No, it's in the it's in the front, like on this side. Scoot over. Don't fucking move. You feel it?
It's on this front now.
Yeah. Do not fucking move, and I'm gonna get you an ambulance.
I can't get it with you. Stop! Do not move!
Oh, he's got a gun. I shot him once. Call me for some ambulance. Yup. He still got the gun.
I'm trying to get it.
You got him?
I'm trying.
Give me that fucking gun.
Oh, couldn't freeze it in time. Let me try it again.
I'm trying.
Give me that fucking gun.
Like I said, that is a full-size gun. It's not a small pocket pistol. And the multiple layers of clothing that he had on helped to conceal that.
Hold on. Okay, give me so get your med kit. I got him. Get your med kit. I got it.
Alright, so let me back this up so I can get a good freeze frame. So, her medical gear, the medical kit. This is one of the places that I recommend placing an IFAK, is in the front cab, in between the seats. And the reason why I recommend that is, one, it is going to be easier to access. Right? It's not in the trunk. It's not in the cargo space. It's right up front. So it's something that you can, if you're pulling up and things are kind of already settled, that you just need medical, it's right there. You just grab it and go. If it's something where stuff's happened, you're out of the car, stuff's happened, things are kind of secure, you need to go get medical, it's easier, I think, to open the door, reach in and grab it because it's sitting right there. It's just more of a fast deployment kind of thing. And you can access it from either side of the vehicle. You can come in from the driver's side door, reach in between the seats and grab it, or you can come in from the passenger side of the door, reach in and grab it. So I really like putting medical gear in between the two seats there. Now, some cars you can't do that because you have a rifle mount right there. So it makes things a little bit more difficult, and it has to be a little bit more forward, but you can still do it. And of course, that works out for two-man cars, right? Because you just can't have everything in the seat. Now, if it's a single-man car, I still think that putting it in this space right here is a good idea. But if not, then I think that using the headrest of the passenger seat is another good place to put stuff, so long as you don't have a printer mounted right there. Having a large divider thing or a bag thing, and having your medical gear attached to the top or front side of it is a good idea in terms of keeping it in the cab. If you're going to have medical gear that's going to be in the trunk or the cargo space of your vehicle, then that stuff needs to always be on top. It doesn't need to be buried under a bunch of stuff. Can't tell you how many videos I've seen of people trying to go get medical gear and they have to dig through all kinds of shit just to find it. Your medical gear, it needs to be staged for priority. You need to be able to get that thing right now. You don't need to search for it. You don't need to hunt for it. So you need to make sure that as you're going about your daily stuff and you've got stuff in your trunk, you're moving stuff around, you always reset that bag to the top. Or if there's a place that you can set it and stuff don't get on top of it, or like for a trunk on a car, for example, the best option in terms of like IFACs and stuff like that, I think, is to mount it to the trunk lid itself. Because when you open that trunk and you're looking at that lid on the interior lid of that trunk lid, there's nothing that's going to bury an IFAC unless the car is upside down, right? So long as your car is on all four wheels and you open the trunk, that lid, there's nothing going to be there except what you mount to that damn thing. And so putting some Velcro on there or a strap or something and putting the IFAC there, so when you open that lid, there's nothing obstructing it. All you got to do is reach to it, unlatch it, and go. When it comes to SUVs, if you've got the metal cage in the back that separates the passenger thing from the cargo space, that could be a good place to put an IFAC. Put a strap or something on the cage and mount the IFAC to it. If it's like a tearaway style, you could put the backing of it on the cage itself and then put the IFAC Velcro to it. And then when you open that cargo space, boom, it's right there. It's up vertical. It's on a wall, essentially. There's nothing that's going to be burying it. There's nothing to be on top of it. So it's very quick and easy to grab and go. Like I said, medical gear needs to be staged for priority. It needs to be on top. It needs to be visible. It does not need to be buried under a bunch of stuff. And it's generally easier to accomplish in the cab by having it right in here. Because, what else are you going to be throwing in this space, right? Now, their IFAC here happens to be camouflaged. this is going to be a pretty common thing when it comes to pouches and stuff like that, especially, since a lot of this stuff is military made. You're going to have camouflage. You're going to have stuff that's maybe green, tan, or black. That's very common. But there are IFAKs out there that come in colors like red. And if you've got extra money to blow, I would recommend a red bag for an IFAK. Because it's a whole lot easier to tell someone, hey, grab that red bag out of my car. It's in the front seat. Grab it. Versus, hey, grab that black bag. And you may have a go bag in the front that has magazines in it. You may have a patrol bag, almost like a duffel bag thing sitting in the front seat that's black. But then off to the side, you have your IFAK that is black. And someone can just, grab the wrong bag, come back, and then you're like, no, that's not what I need, dummy. Like, go get the bag, the black bag. Well, this is black, right? And at night, low light conditions, a black bag can be a little bit harder to see. A red bag could be easier to differentiate in between other bags and in the darkness. There are also like patches and stuff like that you can get to put on some of these bags that have Velcro on the front or Somali on the front. That way it makes it known that this is a first aid bag. Aside from red, I think tan is probably the next best color, because then you could have some contrasting there with that tan color by being able to write on the front IFAK or put one of those Red Cross emblems on there to denote it as first aid. A black bag, you can't write on the black bag very well, not least with a black marker, because it's not going to show it very well. And black can be a little bit harder to see at night, and black can blend in with other black bags that you may have. But like I said, if you've got the extra money to spend, and you already got all your other ducks in a row, it might be a good idea to buy a red medical bag. But certainly the camouflage things work just as fine. The black ones work just as fine. That's about it, because I've already talked about medical. Yeah, so that's it. There's really not much else to talk about in this video. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense, thank you for watching.